This is Vivi right here, and Marco is saying hello as well. This is Marco. Long time to no see. I hope everyone is doing well the winter so far, and hopefully you have had a great Valentine's Day yesterday. Okay, so in this live, I just want to share with you a recent insight that I just realized, and it's related to one of my favorite book ever. The Alchemist is actually the book that inspired me to travel. And literally changed my life because back when I was in the US, I felt really lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be. And this is the book that inspired me. Hello, Ruby. This is the book that really inspired me, kind of like reignited my passion for traveling because until then I didn't realize how much I love traveling, but like all the fantasy, the stories, the mysteries in the book is like, oh, like I was like, I wanted to be a nomad. I wanted to have like life that have so much adventures and excitement. So I read the book many times. The first time I read it, I didn't quite understand it. And every single time, hi Susan. I'm glad you're here, my first live for you. So the first time when I read it, I didn't quite understand it. And because I love the stories in the book, somehow it feels really resonates with me. And because it's all about traveling. So I reread it several times. So like every single time I reread this book, there's like a new insight. There's something else that I actually get to understand. And not just like recently, I'm working on a project where I had to like go back and revisit the book and to understand why it inspired me so much. And it dawned on me that there's more hidden, it's kind of hidden metaphors in the book that I didn't get to understand until now. And it's fascinating to me because I have to go through so many different stages of life to finally understand what alchemy actually is. And that's what I want to share with you. Because this book is like mind-blowing. Like now that I actually in different stages of my life, I can actually understand the book and why it is called The Alchemist. And for that, like I give the author Paulo Coelho so much more credit. It's just not an imaginative story, but there's just so much coaching, so much lesson, like hidden lesson in the book that you may not be able to realize until like you have to go through the whole transition of your life in order to understand it. So let me explain. Since my background, as many of you know, my background is in engineering, and I love chemistry. I used to love chemistry, and so that's the reason why I love alchemy, because it's all about the study of chemistry. And sometimes I was just talking to my friend, and I said that I'm like an alchemist, right? Instead of like a chemical engineer, I'm more like an alchemist. I didn't quite understand the term until now. So if you look into the 7 stages of alchemy, when it's basically like transform from, so the understanding of alchemy, as we have all know, is about transforming lead into gold. So that's the myth, right? So the stages of doing that is by burning it, which is called the calcination, and then you put it in water, which is the dissolution to cool it down. And then you have to separate the matter because lead is a lot heavier than gold. And then the conjunction, putting it, purify it into a different matter, right? And then it has to go to fermentation and distillation, and finally the putting all the purified matter back together, which is called the coagulation. So how is this like described in the book? Like the calcination is the part where I realized that was like the beginning of everything. It's like how Alchemist, if you look into it, is basically the whole process of life evolution for human, because we are made of these chemicals as well. Like we are chemicals, with also elements, with also part of nature and part of us. So if these stages apply for chemicals or matters, it's also applied to us, because we are also matters in the nature as well. And so when I understand these stages of alchemy, and then I put that in the process that describes the story that described in the book, I understand more the whole picture of the book, where Santiago had to lose everything. He had to sow on the sheep, and lost when he got robbed. He basically lost everything. And that's the part that it had to happen until you come. That's the burning stages, because it has to. You have to go down to the state of nothing in order to build something, a better foundation. And that was just, and I realized when I was reading that book, that was the exact time that I was in that stage as well, where I really lost everything that I worked for my whole life. I lost all of that. And that just happened to be the time that I discovered the book, and I started reading it, but I didn't understand it until now. Because like back then I was like, I imagined like, because I love Santiago's adventure and journey. I was like, I want to go and do my own adventure as well. And that's where it all started for me, without realizing like how it's actually got me into into the personal development in more like a traveling way. And so that's how maybe you can put together why I love the book and how it's all about traveling, and also also because of the personal development that involved through the traveling process as well. Because you don't just travel through the physical world, but also travel through the inner world as well. So when Santiago, when he lost everything and he had to basically stabilize himself and anchor himself to work himself up in order he could continue his travel. Even though he didn't really like the work, but he had to do it in order to get to have money to continue his travel, because he didn't want to go back to his hometown, because he just started the journey. And before he started the journey, he actually met a guy who he thought was like a god, a mysterious guy. Somehow it just like appear and tell him that, oh, you have to follow this vision, you have to follow these dreams, and he just follow it. So that's kind of like signify the intuitive voice within yourself to start going for this calling without knowing where it's going to turn out, because he just had a dream that he wanted, that he should go to Egypt, because that's where the hidden treasure is. And so that's how the journey started. Right? So through the journey, he has to go through like this. He actually met the actual alchemist. Where he learned how to be an alchemist himself, and the process of the alchemist is not as he thought that it actually turned lead into gold, but through finding his own inner strength in order to manifest everything in the universe. And that's where he learned to first listen to the heart. um, so he has to go through the process of crossing the desert and learning listen to the heart, and to the point like his power is so strong that he could actually control the weather itself. So it's fascinating to me that the book didn't describe anything about it did touch a little bit, but it wasn't about the journey of describing the process of turning lead into gold, but more like a travel journey of Santiago going from a stage of nothing until he actually find his treasure, and the treasure happened to be back at his hometown instead of being in Egypt, like under the pyramid, like he thought it would be. So it's all about like until he go through the whole process, is returning to where he was. And so it signifies that the whole journey of transformation of life, of growth, is actually is a process of purification, and is returning you back to the stage of all the beginning, because that's the purest form of who we are. Hi, James. Because that's the purest form of who we really are in the beginning, kind of like when we were kids, when we were babies, before everything actually got to indoctrinate into our lives. And that's where the treasure come from. So now until I understand that process, understand what alchemy actually is, then I get to understand like the whole picture of life and the process of myself in the journey, my own journey, like where it is right now. And it dawns on me when I realized that before going to Montreal, before coming to Montreal, my roommate actually asked me, "What do you want to do in this city?" And so I just answered her very intuitively, right? Like I was like, I want to finish my training in Reiki and maybe go into an ashram, because for some reason I felt like I needed to have the pause in my travel and not continue to keep running, like traveling and being on the road constantly, because I was on the road for like maybe 5 months. And so that was a very, very long travel for me. Like the whole time, that was probably the longest time that I travel, like constantly being on the road and moving from places to places. And it just happened to be during the winter time, where it's the best time to actually reflect and be in silence. And that's what I mentioned in my previous lives, right? But it just happened to be the synchronicity for me at this stage that I needed to be in silence and to be quiet and just be anchored up for a little while. Because no matter like how much you love traveling, there's still you still need to get grounded and anchor and balance the energy in order to continue for another adventure. And so and when I reflected, and I remember the story where Santiago, he had to anchor down at the desert for a while as well, and it's kind of like he was on the desert for a long time before he actually get to the stage of becoming an alchemist. And so it's all about finding the balance, um, the activities that we do in our life. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Mary. Like finding the balance and the activities that we do in our life and having the awareness of the stages that where we are right now. Because I love, no matter how much I love traveling, it's like if I continue to travel now, it would not work for me, and I may have missed out the gift of this stage that is giving me, which is more clarity for my future and the vision and the work that I'm trying to do. So if I say if this is what it meant for me right now, and I become rebellious, and I'm just like, no matter what, I'm still gonna travel and go see places. And so if I'm not honoring the stage where I'm in right now, I may have missed out that the gift of this stage um, for what I need to do in order to progress or to move forward in life. Because just like all the stages that I was going through along as well, like if I didn't go through the calcination, like burning, like losing everything and trying to continue to attach to all these things that I had, and I would not let it go. Um, if I didn't let like all of these things go in the US, and I tried to hold back, I tried to hold on to them, then I wouldn't be able to go on the transformational journey where I have been on right now, and I wouldn't get to be here to share my journey. And so that's the lesson that I learned from the alchemy, and I realized I realized that sometimes, even though so sometimes even though we know that this is what our passion is and our that we want to do, but we still cannot ignore the nature, the process of the nature and what it brings to us, and instead embracing the stage that where we are in now, and how utilizing it to have it work for us instead of going against it and ignoring the gift that is brought to us. So that is also the matter of having awareness and different perspective in order to see clearly what is working for us at this stage and what not working for us right now. So when I first moved into this house, for instance, and I could feel the energy. When I first moved into this house, it was like the energy in here is just so dark and heavy. And I was like, I didn't feel good about it in the beginning. And so, it's meant for me to stay here. It's really like how I found this place is really all about synchronicity. So I knew that it meant for me to be here. And it just so happened, and now I realize the reason why I have to be in this house, because that actually part of the process for me to transform, to reflect and to transform what's happening inside of me. Because there's still that darkness, there's still that purification process that I have to go through. So when you observe your environment and the people around you, you will get to understand that they are the reflection of you, and that they actually will show you what you need to work on, right? And so I just knew that this is the process that I had to go through. And so these days, that's the reason why I'm not active on social media, I'm not active on YouTube, because I don't feel like it either. Because it's not like because like I'm not grateful for my viewers, or I disrespect my viewer, but this is the stage that I have to be in right now, and that's what I want to honor. Because without going through this stage, I won't be able to have the clarity and the vision, is what I wanted to do in the beginning. Because I started something, I started a project, and now I'm like, where does this really go? Like, I'm not really sure what the vision is. So it's like there's still like a missing piece that I'm actually looking for. And it requires me to go into silence and quiet, just like when I remember Santiago had to be in the desert for so many days, learning to listen to his heart. And that wasn't a very easy and that wasn't a very easy process, because you just have to be very, very quiet, in order to quiet everything in your environment and in your mind, in order to have the clarity. So that's just more like a vision quest, I think. But like the alchemy process is like going through many different stages. Like when you reach this stage, you have to keep going through the next day and the next stage. So it's like a never ending process, right? Even you come to a complete of the cycle, you still have to go back. And hello, van life cycle, you still have to go back or to all the beginning, and then go through the higher level cycle or something like that. And so I hope that you understand what I know I ramble so much. I hope that you understand what I'm explaining and why this book is so important for me. Now that I understand a deeper meaning of it, like I highly, highly recommend you to read the book The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho, because there's just so much lessons about life that you can really learn from this book. And really, there's so many metaphors that you just have to, there are many layers to it. Yeah, it's keep peeling like an onion. There's so many layers to it. And the more you grow, the more you get to understand the deeper layer of the book. And I really think it is it really is the masterpiece to me. Because, and I think Paulo himself would have to go through the process in order to describe it like so beautifully, the whole journey and transformation of Santiago. And I love how he put it in the way of traveling, because it really resonates with my passion, right? And so if you love traveling, read the book, and so it will give you much more better insight about life, and how travel is so essential to help you grow as a person, not just seeing different places of the world, but also growing from the inside out, like transform you from the inside out as well. So I don't want to ramble too much, and I just want to share with you that insight and how beautiful it is to understand alchemy, and more importantly, understand, apply the understanding of alchemy into our life. So the book is called The Alchemist. It's just very simple, The Alchemist. When you actually understand it and apply it into your life, it helps you to have like better awareness of where you are in your life, and how you should honor yourself and the stages of your life, and just let it be. Just let it be. Don't control anything. Just honor the stage where you are right now. Okay? Hope you all have a good day, and I will catch you in the next live or the next video. Thank you so much for joining me on this live. Okay? Have a good day, everyone. Bye.